Welcome back to Tipton Bros. Today, we'll be discussing the German Henschel HS-132 jet-powered dive bomber. Design, development, service history, and specifications will be provided. Before we begin, I must disclose that I am no expert and never claim to be. Now, let's get into it. Beginning in 1943, the German High Command readied themselves for an impending invasion of Europe from the west. The Reich Ministry of Aviation was notified and rapidly drafted specifications for a dive bomber which could effectively sink Allied shipping. These requirements were published February 18th of 1943, and Henschel officials accepted the challenge without hesitation. The necessity for a new dive bomber was brought about by mounting losses of Junkers Ju-87 Stukas on the Eastern Front. While the Stuka was a fantastic platform and asset to the Luftwaffe, it had by 1943 overstayed its welcome. Henschel Flugzeugwerke initially drafted plans for a piston-engine aircraft, but the steep specifications would not allow it, forcing the transition to jet power. By mid-1944, the design had been fleshed out and promptly submitted to the Reich Aviation Ministry. Dubbed the Henschel HS-132, the freshly crafted dive bomber was anything but conventional. Starting from the front, the HS-132 employed a glazed, stepless cockpit, a shared trait amongst many German aircraft. Large glass panels stretched toward the wing roots and provided the pilot with greater visibility. The fuselage was simple and resembled a downscaled Heinkel HE-111 bomber. To support this bulky jet-powered aircraft, Henschel engineers opted for a high-taper trapezoidal wing. This configuration reduced structural stresses and decreased drag. Another fascinating addition to the wing design is the incorporation of a pronounced dihedral, meaning the main plane is set at a raised angle, increasing lateral stability in flight. What powered this obscure dive bomber was the BMW 109-3 axial turbojet engine. This power plant is best known for its use in the Messerschmitt Me-262 prototypes and Heinkel He-162 fighter jet. The BMW engine was fixed to the spine of the fuselage, just aft of the cockpit, and produced roughly 1,800 pounds of thrust. Placement of the turbojet was chosen for ease of maintenance. The Henschel HS-132 was held by a retractable tricycle landing gear and sat very low to the ground. Moving into the rear section, the design choice is once again unusual. Henschel engineers selected a butterfly or V-pattern tail, capped off with twin vertical stabilizers. While a V-pattern twin tail arrangement would reduce drag and increase survivability, it does seem slightly unnecessary in my opinion. The Henschel HS-132 is an eccentric aircraft, but one feature in particular makes it truly captivating: the crew layout. Manned by just a single individual, the pilot is oriented on his stomach, lying flat, flying in the prone position. This was found to reduce the effects of G-force, perfect for a dive bomber descending upon a target. It is by this point, May of 1944, when Henschel received a contract from the Reich Ministry of Aviation for 6 HS-132A prototypes. Natural resources across Nazi Germany were becoming scarce and highly coveted, leaving little room for experiments of any kind. Operation Overlord followed, and what remained of the crumbling Third Reich was now being suffocated on all sides. Construction of the Henschel HS-132V1 began in March, but was quickly subdued by advancing Soviet forces. One HS-132V1 was fully completed, with 3 other incomplete V1 examples captured. Test flights were scheduled for June, but this would never materialize. 3 separate variants of the Henschel HS-132 were planned, but never escaped the drawing board. These include the HS-132B, HS-132C, and HS-132D. Supposed modifications integrated more advanced turbojet engines and upgraded armament despite never existing. I can provide the specifications for the Henschel HS-132A, also known as the V1 pattern. Powered by one BMW 109-3 turbojet engine, producing 1,700 pounds of thrust. Maximum speed of the dive bomber topped out at 480 miles per hour, excluding a bomb load. Service ceiling sat at 33,600 feet with a range of 420 miles, or 370 nautical miles. Piloted by a crew of 1, the Henschel HS-132A has an overall length of 29 feet, a wingspan of 24 feet, and a gross weight of 7,500 pounds. Armament was basic, consisting of one 1,100-pound bomb carried in a recessed bay within the fuselage. As with many late-war German weapons, the technology was incredibly impressive, but lacked materials and adequate development time. The Henschel HS-132 is no different. Too little, too late. I hope you've enjoyed today's brief overview of the German Henschel HS-132 jet-powered dive bomber. We are a small channel, so a like is greatly appreciated, and recommendations are always welcome. Until next time, on Tipton Bros.